When we moved to the US, my son Jack barely spoke English out of his middle school classroom. Well, I used English at work all the time, so I volunteered to teach him English at home. Then I came to think that I was better than him at anything about English. I even tended to correct him when he spoke English. Looking back on those days, I think I live in sort of double personality. I often felt frustrated when I went out because my American friends often had a hard time understanding me. But meanwhile, I was so eager to teach Jack English at home. There seemed to be a switch in my head, a switch between underconfidence and overconfidence. The feeling at one side only amplified the feeling at another. Over time, I ended up being rude to Jack while teaching him. Now, I feel so sorry to him. One day, my pride took a hit. Jack told me that I was wrong saying the word world. When I was pronouncing the L sound, I tended to stretch my tongue rather than curl it. But I was irritated. So, you are teaching me? Remember, I'm still your teacher. We went to check on the Google Translator. It turns out I was wrong. And I was wrong about almost all L sound. The tutorial shows that many native Chinese speakers can't curl their tongues properly to pronounce the L sound in English, but the young learners can quickly adapt to it. As a matter of fact, my pride was under constant attack all these years. Jack and I joined the Toastmasters club at the same time. I was given better speeches in the beginning, or at least I feel that way. Then here comes the switch again. I often feel underconfident speaking to a room of native English speakers, while I tended to teach Jack about public speaking. But quickly, he overcame in speaking, especially in the pronunciation part. Again, my switch gone wild. I ended up being rude to him again. Same thing happened on the basketball court. Oh, this switch of confidence in my head. It's always gone out of control. What's wrong with it? It prompted me to dive into the rabbit hole. I wanted to figure out the two sides of confidence, especially how come these two sides have the same outcome, the rudeness. Actually, humans studied the research of confidence long time ago. Aristotle said, the coward, the rash man, and the brave man, they are concerned with the same objects. While the first two either exceed or fall short. The third holds the middle, which is the right. You see, the coward and then the rash man, the two sides of confidence. The modern studies even figured out more shades of confidence, such as the Dunning-Kruger effect, the confirmation bias, and then the cycle of learning, etc., etc. In the end, I realized that I made at least two mistakes while teaching Jack. Number one, well, I was successful in one field. For example, the time spent in English language, I tended to believe that I was right in other fields too. such as the pronunciation. It's kind of overconfidence. Number two, when I felt I was wrong, I got myself into the hedgehog mode, put up the sparks on my back for the self-protection. I tended to be rude or aggressive as an attempt to show that I was right. But it always ended up showing the lack of confidence. The experts even suggested the steps to avoid the switch of confidence in my head. Number one, learning. Remember, the experience in one field doesn't give you the experience in another. We must keep learning. Number two, listening rather than talking. When people point out your mistakes, you'd better just shut up and listen. Number three, accept failure. The best way to defeat your opponents is to get better yourself. Being rude never proves that you are right. I remember last Saturday, I attended a training event. The trainer, Dr. Charlotte, said she since gave a speech in a meeting. After that, her evaluator came up and said it right away. It was a crappy speech. We were all shocked. Not only we never heard this word in a meeting, but also Dr. Charlotte was known as a great speaker and leader in the community. So she was like in the training, well, I have received many evaluations in my life, but I have got to say, this evaluator was successful in getting me to remember his. Then I raised my hand and asked, Dr. Charlotte, have you thought that this evaluator was aggressive just because he felt underconfident in front of you, or maybe in his life at all? No, she said. But oh my goodness, that's a good point. Thank you.